Hi friends, welcome to Zafang Productions videocast for Project 3 in, um, in the foundational series and the introduction to Zafang Production Studios, where we do cool creative stuff. I'm learning to not say the word ish, but since this is the 21 and over video podcast, which you actually have to pay for because I did not want to be censored, I'm gonna say it. Top Productions creates cool shit. And part of creating cool shit, you kind of have to know who you are, where you're from, and where you're heading, which is one of the reasons why we have this video cast show going along with the voice podcast episode with the five F's. On the video cast, we are focused on self-directed psychoanalysis, i.e., shadow work inspired by Carl Gustav Jung. And then, of course, has been updated and further refined, and I believe is one of the most powerful tools we could most possibly have in our approach to mental health. I believe self-directed psychoanalysis, along with the exploration of oneself, especially in the spaces of sensuality and sexuality, that being a more hedonistic approach to your mental health, I think is a largely underlooked area. So if people are incredibly lonely or they feel invisible, what would happen if all of a sudden they have friends? What would look like if all of a sudden I have enough confidence to make new friends, to go out to places, whether I go out alone and end up having fun with new friends? What does that look like? What does it look like to network? What does it look like to engineer our social networking, right? We are already engineering our income, so to speak. We're engineering very many different aspects of our lives. Why not be more socially conscious of who we invite into our lives and our spaces, and how those friendships are nurtured and grown, whether it is a network of just platonic friendships, whether it's a more mutualistic friendship where there's an exchange of ideas, whether it's a working relationship, whatever it is. I mean, it's really important for us to know that we are, at the end of the day, the architects of our own destinies. And if we in ourselves are not making it a conscious effort to know oneself, it's going to be really very difficult to pull in the right people and to match the appropriate frequencies that would allow you to live a fulfilled, fully authentic, healthy, expressive life. But until we get to that state, we got to know what makes you tick, so to speak. Which brings us to shadow work. It's deeply personal. It should be done in the privacy of your own home. I want to let you know that I am not I'm not a professional. I am just a human being exploring life and trying to make the best of it. Coming out of a really interesting transition. I don't even know what my truth is around it. It's so confusing that I've decided I don't need to understand it, but I do need to feel my way through it. Because when the mind is in such a condition that the confusion overwhelms it, and I'm not talking about confused or overwhelmed about doing simple life tasks. I'm just talking about the reality in which we find ourselves. When that is overwhelming, and when you are concerned about the kind of reality you are creating, I think that's quite profound. And I lost my train of thought. But anyways, I digress. Back into it. On this video podcast, I'm exploring the concepts of tension and release. And if you recall, one of the main reasons why I am exploring this subject matter is because it's in that kind of it's in that space we find ourselves in quite often, you know, with this sense of tension and release and tension and release. It's the ebb and flow of life. I've written so much about it in previous years. Um, so I do believe that the only way to kind of guide us into a more gray area and to be able to stay in flow is to truly experience hedonic approaches, right? Because if we are not experiencing hedonic approaches, right? Remember I said I would explain what all of this means. Okay. So hedonic adaptation is our innate ability to adjust to life's up and downs, returning to a baseline level of happiness regardless of the circumstances. So if you really truly think about it, it's a Stoic philosophy approach. It's like the basis on which Stoic philosophy exists. Okay, the ultimate of judges, to always stay in the gray, to always see perspective from both sides, and to almost know for a fact that this too shall pass, right? And then how do we lean into it? How do we lean into a deeper sense of knowing? In the very first webcast, I brought up the concept of yakin, which I'm not going to go into, but again, it's just like that inner knowing, the inner wisdom, right? That no matter what happens in your reality, you see the cracks, you see the way things are, you see what's going on, okay? But you have to hang on to your own truth. If you do not hang on to your own truth, you will lose your way. And oh my, being lost is no fun at all. Been there, done that. No, thank you very much. So, right back at it, I did promise that we would be exploring a shadow work journal each couple of weeks, depending on how long I take to get through one and what kind of concepts I'm looking into. But because there's so much to cover, and because I really don't want to be, I do not want my videos to be longer than 15 minutes. I really feel that it's unnecessary with the data overload. I believe that if I can distill the information for you in a 15-minute masterclass, that's a hell of a lot more valuable than you sitting for 3 hours long, okay? Once again, videos with much longer in-depth videos with actual guests, those are really only open up to members. So if you want to become a member and you want to be part of the conversation instead of me just lecturing at you, um, we have two-tier memberships. On the second tier, which is the slightly more costly tier, that's where you will be able to enjoy podcast videos where we interview really interesting people. The reason why it's behind the paywalls once again is because it is a energy exchange of some sort. You get to develop really deep insights. It's educational. There's at the bottom line is that there's an exchange in the process, and hopefully whatever you take from it is one that is beneficial to you. And if it is not beneficial to you, and if you're not getting anything new, and you're not enjoying the perspective, then I would say it's okay. It's okay to leave and move on to a creator you find really truly resonates with where you are and how you see the world. So I'm not really going to be brutally honest. At this stage, I'm not really too much interested in all of that. I'm really very more interested in us getting on with more uh, psychoanalysis related content, right? So today's video is the introduction to Jungian work. It's a little bit of a disclaimer I want to read about what it looks like, and also share with you the very first guide we're going through, right? So this is what I'm going to do each week. We are going to be learning everything we need to learn from the resources and the workbooks we have online. I'm one of those people who believe that adult education should be approached in a slightly alternative way, and that's with interaction. So in the footnotes for this video, I will be sharing the link to this website. I'm in no way affiliated at it at all. I'm just doing sort of a review on psychoanalysis using all the tools I can find for free on the internet, and sharing it with all of you while we go through it together. And then you get to decide if you want to engage with the material or not, right? However, each week lessons will be refined and refined and refined, and we'll keep on building on topics and building on topics. For this week, I'd first like to introduce you to the author and the Shadow Work journal we are using. So the journal is titled Shadow Work Journal, Discover Your Truth and Become One. This is version 1.1. It's copyrighted 2025 by Phillips. He reserves all rights reserved. No part of this workbook, accompanying audio files, and any other included material, nor correspondence of the Shadow Work Journal Discover Your Truth may be reproduced, distributed, or transmitted in any form or by any means, including photocopying, recording, or other electronic mechanical methods, without prior written permission from a copyright of the owner, except in the case of brief quotations embodied in critical reviews and sometimes other non-commercial uses permitted by copyright law. Okay, for permissions, we gotta go Zach at zacharyphillips.com. Okay, so this is the workbook I'm currently using. I encourage that you download it and use it yourself, just so that I don't have to. I'm definitely not showing it on screen at all. I am going to let you know what paragraphs and pages I'm reading on, and like right now, I am about to quote from the paragraph they have on page 5 to 6 on warning. And this is essentially a warning about what happens when you start to engage with work, with psychoanalysis work, right? And it starts like this. The warning is, this is deep work. We are delving into the unconscious and purposely choosing to bring it into awareness. The fact that it was hidden shows its potential power. At some stage, this part of you was too much to handle, so it was put underground, so to speak. Remember, you can stop it any time. Okay, if you need further support while we're doing this, by the way, you need to reach out to a safe person. So to continue on quoting, now we're going back to the first paragraph on the warning section from Zachary Phillips. Zachary writes, and I quote, "This workbook will prompt you to dig deep into your subconscious. Its goal being to shine a light on things that have previously been hidden for no reason. Aspects of yourself, your personality, your past, and your very nature will be brought to light, and these revelations can be confronting. So before you begin, make sure that you have systems in place to help you process the things that will arise. This may include the support of friends, family, community groups, therapists, and or coaches. It will involve an understanding of what works for you in terms of self-care and what you need to do to return yourself back to the present moment and ground yourself." We will be doing very many grounding activities in this book. It may look like meditation, writing, exercising, hugging a pet, taking a bath, or any other number of things that would work for you. And that's it. That's where I would like to start. We are 15 minutes in, and the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna work. I'm gonna quote some references for the study of your shadow. Okay, you can start with the following two books by Carl Jung. It is The Archetypes and the Collective Unconsciousness. Number two, Man and His Symbols. By the way, these references were used in the manual that Zachary Phillips wrote, okay? And I will also tell you which of these books I have already read in my personal space or I'm currently reading. I am currently reading The Archetypes, and that's about it. I have a lot of reading to do. I'm also just starting on this journey. Anyway, the second book by C. Young is Man and His Symbols. M.L. von Franz wrote Shadow and Evil in Fairy Tales. R.A. Johnson wrote Owning Your Own Shadow, Understanding the Dark Side of the Psyche. Then we have the Journal of Analytical Psychologists. They have the Jungian Journal on Culture and Psyche. And then in the spring, a Journal, Architect and Culture. Then there are two Reddit groups. One is Shadow Work and the other one is Reddit Young. Okay. Now, before we get into all of the things about shadow work, it's of course very important. And as you can see, this is Zachary Phillips' Shadow Work Journal, Discover the Truth and Become All We Can. We're going to start off with a definition on what the shadow is. Okay. So what is the shadow? We all have a shadow, and it is basically, there are three categories to the shadow, and we'll be back.